Both.
Yeah, you should move over, buddy. You should move over one.
It's probably the nameplates are out though, aren't they? It was so done. This guy helped get me get back up. You watch this out for old people, he says. Okay. Well, hey, here we are. Mike's hot. So, timepiece, I think it's after 5, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. So, great to see my colleagues and city staff and our presenter here this evening for the Committee of the Whole. So the first step here is to call the Committee of the Whole. Yeah, we can do it roll call, right? But to announce the beginning of the Committee of the Whole here for the City of Kalamazoo for Monday, January 27th, 2025. And then for roll call, Clerk Borling.
Commissioner Cooney. Present. Commissioner Decker. Present. Commissioner Hoffman. Commissioner Pradel. Present. Commissioner Wilson. Vice Mayor Hess.
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
Thank you, Clerk Borling. May I have a motion to excuse Commissioners Hoffman and Wilson?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Pradel, supported by Commissioner Decker. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Communications, Manager Ritzma.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now is the opportunity for public comments at the Committee of the Whole meeting. If there's anyone here that would like to make a public comment, you'll have 2 minutes. Please come forward, state your name and whether you live in the city. Seeing no one, we are now on to the work of the Committee of the Whole meeting. Manager Ritzma.
Well, thank you. And tonight we welcome President Jane Ghosh, President and CEO of Discover Kalamazoo. It's always a fun presentation she gives, and especially when you have on the front page beer, as part of your pictures. So I'll turn it over to you, Jane, and
excellent. Thank you.
Take it from there.
And tonight, not only do I have beer, I have gifts. So I'm going to start by passing these out. And as I was coming in, Mr. Smith was commenting on how successful Chili Cook-Off was on Saturday. And that was just the first of a series of very fun events here in Kalamazoo. I don't know if you're aware, but this upcoming Tuesday, the 28th, tomorrow is National Kazoo Day. And so in honor of National Kazoo Day, first let me give you all a gift from Discover Kalamazoo, which is Discover Kalamazoo Kazoos. And Scott, take them for yourself, please. Yeah. In honor of National Kazoo Day, we are giving away kazoos at our visitor centers. And anyone who comes to get a kazoo can be entered to win music-related prizes, including the Kalamazoo Symphony Orchestra has donated 2 tickets to Yo-Yo Ma, and the Gilmore Piano Festival has also donated tickets. And as a special treat, Shakespeare's is doing kazoo karaoke at 8:30 tomorrow night. So, and then that's Tuesday. Starting Wednesday, skaters arrive from all over the Midwest for synchronized skating sectionals. So more than 2,000 skaters are coming into town for that competition, which is primarily at Wings Event Center. And if you haven't been, it's absolutely mesmerizing, and I encourage you to go. And then starting on Saturday is Kalamazoo Craft Beverage Week. So and we're going to celebrate, Jim, all the beer you want. So it is an exciting week for us here in Kalamazoo. I'm going to start my presentation, though, with a bit of a look in review. We get visitor spending data significantly in arrears from the state of Michigan, from Travel Michigan, part of MEDC. And we learned in the last couple months that in 2023, our visitor spending grew 9.2% versus a year ago and reached almost $750 million. That supports about 7% of jobs, directly supports 7% of jobs here in Kalamazoo County. Food and beverage remains the number one category of spend. That is why our bars and our restaurants and entertainment is so very important to us, because that is a key part of the employment and the visitor spending people have here in Kalamazoo County. We set our objective on visitor spending to increase our share of Kalamazoo County's share of total visitor spending in Michigan. We did that for a couple of reasons. One is we know a lot of our visitors are in-state and we have no control over Michigan's population. And then another is that travel Michigan spending can fluctuate year to year based upon what the legislator decides to allocate to them. But we know that affects all counties in Michigan equally. And so by measuring our share, it kind of equalizes those factors. Our goal is to get to a 3% share by 2030. And just a couple of years in review, in 2021, looking at visitor spending growth versus the prior year, we were the number 2 county out of all 83 in Michigan. And in 2022, we were number 7. And in 2023, we were actually number 12. And you might wonder why I'm showing these off if it shows declining performance. But actually, what you'll notice, if you look at the fine print on the bottom, only Kalamazoo County was in the top 15 all 3 years for growth in visitor spending. And if you look at the counties that were number 1 in 21 and 22, it's very hard to sustain that level of performance year after year. And what that also means is that when you look at growth in visitor spending post-pandemic versus pre-pandemic, we are the top performing county in Michigan, and we really appreciate all the support we have from all of our partners, including the city of Kalamazoo. So how are we doing against our share goal? We're up 0.5 percentage points. So this is a number. We set our goal far in the distance because we knew this is a number that's going to move fairly slowly. We'd been at about 2% consistently. Coming out of the pandemic, we got to about 2.5%, and we are working our way towards that 3% goal. And we think that some of the things I'm going to talk about today, as well as other initiatives like the Event Center and things across the county, are really going to help us get to that goal of 3% share. So now I'm going to turn to 2024 year in review, just a few highlights, but I'm obviously available for any questions you might have. This is our greenhouse that I've presented to you each year, and our first priority was leveraging our geography to win those casual road trippers, and specifically developing distinctive brand assets that can resonate with local ambassadors and visitors. So basically a new ad campaign. And I spoke to you a few months ago when we introduced this new campaign. And you'll see we've refreshed it for the winter. So towards the end of last year, these were some of the ads you might have seen if you lived outside the county. Another refresh we did is we realized that if people saw something in the ad that they were interested in, they wouldn't necessarily know what it was. And so we added at the top left of these ads, you could see those little "You Are Here" spots to showcase what are the venues across the different ads. And these are just examples. We have dozens of ads that we've been running. In 2024, for that campaign, we reached 24 million people who live within about a 4-hour drive of Kalamazoo County, which is a very significant reach. And we had about 56 million impressions. And so every time you give someone an opportunity to see the ad, that's an impression, which means that of that population, we reached each of those people about 2.5 times. And CPM is cost per 1,000 impressions. And you can see there that we were able to do this more efficiently than we expected, which meant that we beat our goals for both impressions and reach. And part of the machine learning that, the Facebooks and so forth of the world do is they reserve the ads that are performing better and allow us to buy that inventory at a lower cost. So it's the fact that we were able to beat our targeted ad spend is in part because the ads are very well performing. We're not going to know how the ad campaign truly did in attracting visitors for months or years, years to come. But one signal we thought we could get is if someone saw the ad. Very few people click on ads these days, but if someone saw the ad and they were intrigued about Kalamazoo, would that cause them to search up more information about Kalamazoo so they could begin their trip planning. And what we saw is that those organic searches, not our paid search, but organic searches for Kalamazoo that resulted in someone coming to our website increased significantly for people who received the ad versus did not receive the ad during the time frame and compared to 2023. So it's not definitive, but it's positive signs that we believe the campaign is working. The second initiative I wanted to talk about was intentionally attracting diverse audiences across all of our work streams. And I believe I've mentioned this to the group before. One, thanks to a county grant from the American Rescue Plan grant and an MEDC grant from Travel Michigan, we were able to do a community accessibility audit here in Kalamazoo County with Wheel the World. Wheel the World is kind of the Expedia for travelers with accessibility needs. So if you have a very specific accessibility need, you can go on Wheel the World and understand where you can go that can accommodate your needs. And they have many, many, many verified destinations on their site. And now Kalamazoo County is a verified destination with Wheel the World, and this is the front page of our destination page. You can see, we welcome you to Kalamazoo using the ad campaign, and on there then you can look at hotels, activities, places to eat, and it gives you the information that you need so that you can have a great adventure. And these are just examples of that page there. It gives you tips, allows you to learn more. And actually, Scott has agreed to do some clicking around for me. So far, we've mapped 52 locations. And when I say we, I really mean Disability Network Southwest Michigan. Kelly Linton on their team has done all of this mapping. She's going to locations and doing the mapping. Each of those partners then gets an insight report. And then listings are completed on the Wheel the World website. So Scott, if you could click on the Kalamazoo Valley Museum listing just to show the group an example. So this is the Wheel the World page, and you can see verified destinations, Kalamazoo, places to go. And if you could scroll down, so there's more than 25 photos. It gives an overview, and keep scrolling down a little bit. And then under guaranteed accessibility features, if you click on that See All Features, the point of this is so that people with accessibility needs know before they go, so that they know whether their needs can be accommodated in that facility. This is not an ADA assessment. It's to get the information so that people can know. And you can see, it tells you about the planetarium, it tells you about the exhibition area, so that they can see and say, will that turning radius work for me if they're a wheelchair user, for example. And if you could go back to the PowerPoint. And then click just another example for One Well, which, as I was telling Scott, was packed on Saturday night. So this is an example with One Well Brewing. In addition to that detailed information, there are photos. So if you could click on where it says 10 photos there, or there we go. So there you can see the outside. And that photo right there, go back, I'm sorry, like that shows what the entrance looks like. So if you have an accessibility need, you can look at that and know, will I be able to successfully get in that? And therefore, is One Well a place that I can come eat? And if you could click through, it shows the table so they can see table height. Will my wheelchair fit underneath that table? Is there a place for me, to eat there with my family? If you could close out of One Well. And then, sometimes the answer is that it might not accommodate you. So if you could click on Kairos, just as an example, depending upon what your needs are. If you're just getting takeout from Kairos, it's probably fine. But if you could scroll down, it tells you that there is a bathroom available, but it's not accessible. But then if you click on the photos for Kairos, if you could go up, you can see that there are grab bars within the bathroom, like the eighth and ninth photos there. Yeah. So you can see that there are grab bars. So if you just have stability issues and you need something to hold on to, then you're fine. But if you have a wheelchair, there's not an adequate turning radius, so it tells you that. So this is, if you could go back, thank you, Scott. If you go back to the PowerPoint. So we've budgeted for 130 places to be mapped, and if any of you have partners in the community that could benefit from having Disability Network come out and map, we've given them a list that we've reached out to, but we really love to get to our full complement of 130 as quickly as possible so that we can promote this to visitors with accessibility needs. Our third strategy in 2024 was to future-proof meetings and sports development, which really means how can we bring in new competitions? And just an example here, for the first time ever, we hosted the Teen CrossFit competition. This was our first ever international sports competition. We had teens here from 29 countries competing in CrossFit, and it was a great time of year because it was Labor Day weekend here. One of the things we try to think about is what are the slow seasons for hotels? And Labor Day weekend is not a big weekend here in Kalamazoo County, so we filled hotel rooms here in Kalamazoo County. And you can see other firsts there on the right-hand side. Resident and partner development is a key part of our mission. One of our obligations under our management agreement with the County of Kalamazoo is to make sure that we're supporting community partners who can help us bring in visitors. And here are some examples of events that we supported. So we took, accommodations tax revenue dollars that we get and funnel them in to these to support these partners so that they can be here. And then that sustains them not just for visitors, but for residents as well. And then lastly, lead destination development. And our first priority here in 2024 was to continue to progress an amateur and youth sports facility. And you can see that we have narrowed in on pursuing an indoor hard court facility that can accommodate basketball and volleyball. We believe we know our data shows there's a huge opportunity for indoor hard court facility here in Kalamazoo County. And you can see on the far left of this chart at the top, our room nights that we currently get in Kalamazoo County for hockey, skating, and wrestling. So I mentioned the synchronized skating. There's more than 2,000 skaters coming in. In April, we're hosting a national youth hockey tournament that will have, I believe, 2,500 hockey players coming in. We do in the middle of those, we're hosting the Michigan State High School Athletic Association Wrestling State Championships and so forth. We do very well in those sports. We get almost no room nights from basketball and volleyball. And that's despite the fact that way more kids play basketball and volleyball than hockey, skating, and wrestling. And especially way more kids of color. The reason we don't host those is because we don't have the facilities to host. If we build a facility that could host that, given our central location among 20 million people and the fact that there's no state-of-the-art tournament facility near us, we believe it could have annual economic impact of almost $50 million. At a cost to build of about $41 million. So it's a wonderful economic routine. And it can, very importantly, from Monday through Thursday, it'll be available for local youth. And right now, local youth do not have sufficient places to play. So our progress to date, we formed a steering committee. We've assessed 30 sites across the county. We brought in a group of experts to do a multi-factor evaluation of 9 of those sites. Then we met with landowners and stakeholders, and we received proposals from our top 3 sites. So we now have proposals from 3 sites, all of which are viable within Kalamazoo County. We've gotten a detailed cost to build estimate. I mentioned $41 million. And then we've gotten bond estimates based on various funding scenarios. So we've made great progress against this facility in 2024, and I'll tell you more about our focus in 2025 in just a moment, which is coming now. So our 2025 strategy and key initiatives. This is the overall greenhouse for 2025. And just like before, I'll walk through it pillar by pillar. Our first priority, now we have our new campaign, is to leverage it to drive salience for Kalamazoo County. And leverage it not just in advertising to leisure visitors, which of course we will do, but use it across all of our work streams. So this is a photo of our new booth materials. Our team goes to consumer and retail trade shows. So this upcoming weekend, we have 2 employees going to the Chicago Travel and Adventure Show in conjunction with Bell's Beer. So Bell's and Discover Kalamazoo will have a booth at that consumer trade show. We'll be sampling Bell's and encouraging people to come to Kalamazoo for, among other things, Oberon Day in March. And this is the booth materials that they'll see. Second pillar, lead destination development. So very similar to last year, but it's actually, we've made it our second priority this year. And we aspire to get the indoor youth sports facility on track to open by 2027. And you can see here photos. So basically, local use Monday through Thursday, tournament use on the weekends. And I thought you'd find it interesting. As I know that one of the key priorities for the commission is to support local businesses, especially downtown businesses. And I wanted to connect the dots between having these youth events and the impact on local businesses. So just as an example, this is the visitation for Wings Event Center in 2024. And you can see that the number one day of visitation in Wings Event Center was a wrestling tournament that took place at the end of March. And specifically the peak day there was March 23rd. You can see the second highest day was the Michigan State High School Athletic Association Wrestling State Championships was in that February day. But the highest day was the wrestling in March. And then this is my attempt at drawing a polygon of the core business area of downtown Kalamazoo. So you can see that I made sure that we could capture Shakespeare's and Bell's, to the north, and then all the way down, to the mall to the south, and to the east to make sure we had all of Bates Alley, for example. So in this core business district, if we look at just March 23rd of 2024, that day of peak travel to Wings Event Center, with no other filters than we're looking for people who stayed at least 30 minutes, so we know they weren't driving through. You can look at before people came to that point of interest, the number one place other than home that they were at was Wings Event Center. And after they were downtown, the number one place they went was Wings Event Center. So I think that shows all throughout the day, downtown Kalamazoo businesses benefited from the activity that was happening, at Wings Event Center. And that was, for wrestling. So we very much believe that when we open this indoor tournament facility and fill it with people, you don't have to be adjacent to the facility to benefit. We believe downtown Kalamazoo, as the number one place visitors go, downtown Kalamazoo will benefit from this facility. Our next priority is to grow by matching business with facilities that we have. And just as one example, we were really happy to host the Compete Sports Diversity Familiarization Trip, and Mayor Anderson was kind enough to join us at this breakfast that you saw that we held at the Black Arts and Cultural Center. This is a group of rights holders in sports that are specifically trying to grow the participation in sports of diverse audiences, diverse participants, LGBTQ participants with accessibility needs, and participants of color. I'm happy to announce today, because this is I just learned this 2 hours before walking over. Thanks to that familiarization trip, Kalamazoo has been awarded the 2028 Compete Sports Diversity Annual Conference. And it'll be held downtown. Thank you very much. There'll be more than 40 rights holders that will come and experience downtown Kalamazoo, which then we firmly believe will generate, business year after year after year. And if we had not been able to, again, thanks to the Kalamazoo County American Rescue Plan grant, that is what funded us to bring in this group that's going to lead to business. And we actually hope that we're going to have other pieces of business between now and then. But it's very exciting, and it's our first sports event. Sports, it's not a sports competition event, but our first event related to sports that is on the books for 2028. So. Our last priority is to meet people where they are. And you can see on the left here just some statistics from 2024 based on our geolocation data and then other actual tracking data, where people were in 2024. So, and this is not based on where they live necessarily. It's just all people. So obviously a lot of people spend time on Western's campus. That's residents and visitors as well. The new Western Student Center, even though it only opened in the middle of the year, had almost 70,000 people walk in the door of that visitor center, obviously a lot of those being students. The Kalamazoo Mall, we know that's Kalamazoo Mall. Kalamazoo overall is the place where out-of-towners come the most. Kalamazoo Mall gets a lot of foot traffic. And then the last two numbers are, we have staff at the Downtown Visitor Center, and then for some arriving flights at the airport. And my staff, they actually take tallies of how many interactions they have with people. And you can see that the numbers are dwarfed by where people actually are. And we believe that we are not doing a good enough job of meeting people, where they are. So to that end, we have a few initiatives that we've recently announced. One is in October, we opened the Corner Visitor Center at Western Michigan University, so that now we have a staffed visitor center at Western, not just to serve the needs of students, but also visiting students and visiting families, so that we can help make sure they have a great experience and really understand all that Kalamazoo has to offer, and connect them with downtown businesses. We actually got a testimonial from the owner of Benny DeCarda's downtown, and he said after he did some work with us that for those next 6 weeks, he saw a significant increase in his business. And then when school was on break, he saw his business go back down, and then when school was off break, he saw the business come back up. So I think that's the first kind of testimonial we had from the fall. And we've had more interactions in just 3 months at this visitor center that we had in the entire year at our downtown visitor center. We also, in the spirit of supporting local businesses, we did our first activation with the Kalamazoo Candle Company. So this is I didn't have photos of the people actually there, but the Kalamazoo Candle Company, we gave them space and we advertised it via banners there at the visitor center, and said that on this specific day, the Kalamazoo Candle Company will be there in case students or anyone wanted to participate. And not only did they have people participate in the activity, they also ended up securing events with sororities and an event an upcoming event with visiting parents. So really, again, doing anything we can to help support local businesses and make those connections. We've also recently announced that we are opening a collaboration with the Spirit of Kalamazoo. So the Spirit of Kalamazoo is right there on the mall, which is where the people are. So we're going to meet people where they are. And so the Spirit of Kalamazoo has very generously offered us the space right when you walk in the door for material and a kiosk. We are bringing digital kiosks that'll be available whenever places are open at the airport, the Western Michigan University Student Center, the Spirit of Kalamazoo, and a mobile kiosk that can, again, go to where the people are. And we believe this will, again, be part of meeting people where they are. In addition to the kiosk, there will also be a Discover Kalamazoo app helping businesses, helping people understand and connect to things to do, places to eat, places to go. So that is our 2025 strategy to help us achieve our goal of getting to a 3% share of visitor spending in Michigan by 2030. Do you have any questions?
First of all, thank you very, very much for always coming and seeing us and bringing this very high energy presentation, which is, I think, very hopeful and very optimistic all at the same time. So questions from commissioners for Jane Ghosh?
I'll go.
Vice Mayor?
Sure. So Jane, as I look at your first page here, 2023 visitor spending grew 9.2%. I believe that it started to grow when you joined us here. 2020 obviously was COVID. And then it just took off. And so kudos to you and your team. And you have brought a lot of people on who do some really amazing work.
Well, thank you. If I'd known that's where you're going, I wouldn't have turned back to this slide. But thank you very much. We have a phenomenal team, and we have phenomenal partners. And I know I've said this at meetings before, but I'll say it again. No one comes to Kalamazoo to see Discover Kalamazoo. They come to go to the great events that we have people thinking up and putting on, like Canadiana Fest and Sounds of the Zoo. They come to our amazing, businesses with, retailers with just these great ideas. The chamber putting on chili cook-off. I mean, those are the things that bring people here, as well as tremendous events. So we are fortunate that we have so many wonderful things to promote.
We really are, and thank you for being that voice box for Kalamazoo. A few questions. Is the CrossFit competition an annual thing, or was that a one-time?
It was probably most likely a one-time event. Obviously, we would love to see it back. We will do everything we can, but it also introduces us to the international body that organizes CrossFit events. So even if we don't get that specific international team competition back, it doesn't mean we might not get other CrossFit events. And I'll say, and actually we would not have won that event without the participation of the local CrossFit community. That's another place where those local partnerships mean so much.
Cool. And curious, just how many rooms or people are here, going to be here in 28 for the complete sports?
Yeah, not a lot. It's not a lot of people. It's probably, I mean, if I were to gander, it would probably be 100 and 200 people who would probably stay for maybe 3 days each. So it's not, the importance of that event is not so much the room nights that we're going to get from that event. It's that all of those organize things like international CrossFit. And I mean, so 40 people who own the rights to all these different actual competitions, that because they're going to come here, we have the unique opportunity to convince them to host those competitions here in Kalamazoo.
Fantastic, and I know you will. And so, you know how excited I am about this indoor sports facility, being a volleyball person, but and for what it can do for Kalamazoo. You know, on the weekends, let's bring in the visitors, let's bring in all that. But you said Monday through Thursday for local people. And I just wonder, I know I see the chief in the back there, and I just wonder if our Police Athletic League might be a beneficiary of that. Or, you know, the kids who normally don't have a set place to play, that we go to this school or that school or, you know, whatever. But, or would it be for, you know, people that pay court fees?
I think it'd be all of the above. One of the things we're very conscious of is we want to be complementary, not in competition with existing local facilities. So how do we make sure that, because the courthouse is also, as just an example of a very important partner to us, but they are so busy, and they don't have the right ceiling height and number of courts. They can't host tournaments. They can't host the kind of tournaments that we are looking to host. So how do we complement the work that they do? How do we complement, you know, the Dolman Schoolcraft? And how do we complement the Boys and Girls Club? And the Y, you know, I know the Y is also looking at what facilities we can do. So, you know, the great news is we have relationships with all of them, and so we can work together to make sure that we maximize opportunities for all the kids.
All the kids in Kalamazoo will be playing.
Yeah, and we know that right now there's kids who can't get court time. So one of the people on our steering committee, Mr. Corey Person, so he runs an AAU basketball league, United Pursuit. He was a former player at University of Michigan on basketball. And, you know, he can't let all the kids play in his league as want to play because he can't get enough court time for them. So that's just one example. I really do believe that this will open up opportunities.
This is awesome. Yeah. Because sport is a valuable way to deliver education. And so
the data shows youth sports benefit not just physical health, which is kind of the first thing you think of, your cognitive ability, your mental health, and your overall well-being. And when people start sports young, they are more likely to continue for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jane, for working on that, and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pradel?
Thanks for being here, Jane. I was just wondering, in terms of what you're seeing people consistently come to Kalamazoo for, I remember, I think it was the last presentation you mentioned, like bells, for instance, as just a consistent mainstay of like when you look at consistent data, not just one-time event things throughout the year, whatever, is a real driver to our community. What are some of the, you know, if you could pick the top 5 things that you're seeing from year to year to year that are the main drivers, especially within, you know, say the city of Kalamazoo?
So I have the top 5 for the county. Let me think about the city here.
You can, I mean, the county's fine.
Yeah. You know, within the county, from an everyday, day in, day out attractions, kind of what we think of as, in addition to bells, because you already mentioned bells, some of our top 5, you know, the Air Zoo, the Gilmore Car Museum, the Kalamazoo Institute of the Arts, the Kalamazoo Nature Center, you know, there's people coming there, you know, all, you know, day in, day out. And then, you know, although it's, you know, downtown, what I just said, you know, downtown Kalamazoo. In downtown Kalamazoo, what's wonderful about it is it's choose your own adventure, you know, and one of the things that we promote a lot, in addition to like the museums I just mentioned, is our performing arts. So on an annual basis, I worked with the Arts Council of Greater Kalamazoo. On an annual basis, in Kalamazoo County, there are more than 1,500 live performances. 365 days of the year, more than 1,500 opportunities to go see a live performance, whether it be dance at Wellspring or, a concert at Bell's or the free live music that's at, Beats on Bates and all, Bird Days of Summer at Vicksburg, like all across our county. And even, things like at Ruggers Up and Under, all of that, you add them all up, and it's a tremendous opportunity for people to enjoy arts and culture. And if I may say, I don't think that the population of the city of Kalamazoo or Kalamazoo County alone could sustain all of those arts events.
Yeah, for sure. I also remember you showing some just trends from years where what were the peak events that brought people into Kalamazoo? And you mentioned that WMU football is a big one for our community. You mentioned the art fair, and Pride Fest is another really big one for our community. Yes. When you looked at the last time you presented on that top list versus this last year, did you notice any changes, or did you find that those were still pretty consistent? Pride, absolutely.
The number 2 day, I believe, for downtown Kalamazoo specifically was the holiday parade, and then WMU football. Those three remain especially when there's a Saturday home game like homecoming. And I believe that Dan Bartholomew, the athletic director, is working more and more to get more Saturday home games, and that'll absolutely benefit us. Yeah,
for sure. Mm-hmm. Then my last question, in terms of hotel capacity, I know we've seen recently a new hotel project on the agenda for Portage Road near I-94. Yeah. There's a couple going up by the by Sprinkle Road and in that area and whatnot. Mm-hmm. What is our hotel capacity looking at? Do we have capacity to still grow? Are we kind of at a point now where we're catching up with the demand?
So I didn't bring the numbers with me to remember off the top of my head. I did, because we just published in our partner newsletter today, we are down in hotel supply. So when we think of hotel supply, it's how many room nights are available in a given month. So basically how many rooms are available for people to book. And our supply is down, pending those new properties opening. Because we've actually had several properties taken offline. So the Residence Inn, the Days Inn, and the Super 8 have all kind of been taken offline. So for a short term, that has a positive impact on occupancy, but we still have a lot of room to go on occupancy. And when we are talking about the indoor sports facility, our proposed way to fund that is through incremental assessments on hotel room nights. And so we've obviously been talking a lot with hotels about this project. I'm delighted to say that the hotel owners that we have spoken to so far have been very, very supportive of the project, because they see already today the sports event we bring in, a direct connection to room nights. One of the things that they like about this opportunity is that it's bringing in the room nights off season. So, occupancy is not, I could give you an annual number. I don't remember the number, but I could give you, the annual number. It's actually, the annual number doesn't matter so much as, day of the week or month of the year. And right now in Kalamazoo County, our occupancy is higher in the summer and lower in, let's call it, November through February. And the great thing about this indoor sports facility is it will help, fill hotel room occupancy in that off season.
Yeah, for sure. This isn't a question, but just a neat observation of the great work you and your team do. There's actually just goes to speak of the very interesting types of things that come to the city of Kalamazoo. But in April, there's actually a group called the Abraham Lincoln Presenters. And so there's a group of people who are a nationwide association of people who are Abraham Lincoln reenactors who are coming to the city of Kalamazoo. And so for about a 3-day period, you're going to see, probably a couple hundred people who are wearing top hats and beards roaming around Kalamazoo while they have their conference here. Or whatever.
And we appreciate, Commissioner, your support and the Abraham Lincoln Society's support for that. I believe, you helped when they came for a site visit. Right, and we're inspecting and deciding whether or not Kalamazoo would be the place that they could come. So we're very appreciative of that.
Well done.
Other questions? Yeah, Commissioner Cooney.
Well, Jane, thank you for the enthusiasm. It's so contagious. I'm really, like Jean, I'm really excited about the youth program. And it's a couple years away. We got time to think it out. I can understand what you say about no competition, not competing. But I think we have to find a way to make it accessible to kids that don't have resources. There's so many of those kids. So we got to find a way to do that.
I completely agree. And not just accessing it to play, but right now, those kids who want to participate in tournaments
Yes.
can't because they have to travel, which costs money and time and, even availability of a vehicle to be able to get on the road and travel. And if we have a tournament facility, then local kids will be able to do tournaments who might not be able to afford to participate.
That's great. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor.
Sure. I forgot to ask you, Jane. I mean, there's a lot of scuttlebutt around town about this new event center, and now that we can see like the footprint appearing, it's going to be pretty big.
It's going to be epic.
Really big.
Yeah.
Big. We were at an event on Saturday at the women's basketball game at Western, and the athletic director, Dan Bartholomew, talked about the impact of that on Western athletics and bringing people in and all kinds of fun things for Kalamazoo. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about really what you see the possible impact of this facility to the downtown area, to our hotels, to our economic well-being. If you could just say what you know about that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's say, I think there's going to be two types of events that happen at the event center. I mean, there's lots of types of events, but some of the events that happen there, and they expect to have at least 250 events a year. So that's going to be a very, very, very busy place. Some of those are events that are already happening in our community today, somewhere else, that are going forward going to be held at the event center. So think of a K-Wings game that's happening at Wings Event Center. Going forward, it'll happen downtown. Bronco hockey, it would be remiss to not point out that Western men's hockey team is number 3 in the country right now and won both of their games over the weekend. So that, the hockey games that currently happen at Lawson, to happen here downtown. So even just for the events that aren't new events, I firmly believe that the economic impact of those events will grow. Because right now, if they're at, let's say, Lawson or at Wings Event Center, primarily people drive there, they park in the parking lots at those facilities, they go to the event ends, they get back in their cars, and they go home. Versus the new downtown arena, it's deliberately a dispersed parking model. It's on purpose. There's not going to be, it's not like all the cars are going to park there. They're going to park in the parking lots all across the downtown. They'll park. They'll walk by bars and restaurants and retail shops on their way to the events, and they'll walk by bars, retail shops, restaurants on the way home from the events. So just by virtue of that, we're going to increase the economic impact of events that are already happening. Then it'll be a facility that can host events that we can't host today because we don't have the facilities. So there's going to be 20,000 square feet of flat floor space in that facility that we do not have something like that today, especially with the appropriate ceiling height and everything. I'm very optimistic that someday maybe we can host one of the regional ice hockey tournaments for NCAA. We have one of the best ice hockey teams in the country. Why should we not host NCAA part of that tournament, right? But we can't do it today because we don't have the state-of-the-art facility that they need. So it's both of those things. So we're going to be able to increase economic impact for events we already have and get economic impact from events that we can't host today.
Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jane, for being here. Always excited to see you and the great things that are happening. We've talked a lot about the positives that the event center is going to bring to the city of Kalamazoo, and I believe it's going to bring a lot of great positives. Can you talk about it? Have you guys been discussing what could be possibly the negatives and the impact on the community that does surround it? When I speak about that, I think about we have ambassadors. We're going to need a lot more ambassadors to kind of walk around and, talk to the community and talk to individuals that are here. There's going to be a lot more garbage to pick up. So I see that as, a negative thing. So how are you guys planning on combating that? And again, what other negatives do you think might come about for the community that already lives here.
I mean, I certainly think you've mentioned a couple of them. So it will require increased resources, right? It will require, increased downtown ambassadors. I believe that they have a plan for it, but it will be increased demands on Department of Public Safety, right? That will absolutely be an increase. I mean, theoretically, I know that people are concerned about traffic. That is another reason for the kind of this distributed parking model, so that you're not having, a concert gets out and everybody's, trying to get out of one egress at the same time because they'll be out and then walking to wherever their parking is. That was intentional to be able to minimize, kind of that traffic impact. I think obviously during the construction period, on the one hand, there's construction jobs that are coming from it, but there will be traffic impacts during the construction period. I'm confident, that my sense is the city's really trying to be very thoughtful about the construction impact on the community. I'm very optimistic. I just wrote a letter of support, which is a cottage industry of mine. I feel like a letter of support for for a raise grant for West Nugent Park north of Kalamazoo Avenue. So to do, to turn those into two-way, and then another letter with Maddie Jordan Woods is working on things for the North Side neighborhood and that Ransom area. I do think it's critical that in order to have a positive impact on the community, we do need to do the traffic calming and that other work, because the event center is going to need people who work there. And it's a great opportunity for people who live near the event center to have jobs and also to take advantage of the events that are happening in the community. And unless it's easily and safely walkable, we're not going to be able to take advantage of that.
Yes, I agree on that. And yes, thank you for the grants there. I know Maddie's very excited about some of those things that are happening there. I was just kind of, I think it's a great thing. I think the event center will be a great thing, but I also have to ask about, we hear great positive things, but I know, sometimes the community might have some negative thoughts, and I think you've kind of answered a few of those right there. I know the influx of people that are going to be coming in is going to be great. And so we're looking to have this done, what was that, by 2027?
For the event center downtown, I believe that they are targeting late 27 or early 28 for opening. Yeah. For the indoor youth sports, the hard court facility that we're talking about, we're looking at ideally early 27. Compared to the event center, it's a very simple build.
And then you talk about, again, we have the residents that are going to be here, and it is going to offer a lot of jobs. I don't know if you guys have gotten this far yet, just discussing some of these things. Will there be specialized training, or will we be definitely targeting individuals that would be in some of the core neighborhoods that this would be affecting, i.e. the north side and whatnot?
For the event center?
Yeah.
I can't speak to that, unfortunately. I have not been involved in that.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I was just kind of asking. Okay. Well, I would hope that they would, take into account to make sure to, when we want everyone to have better paying jobs and start there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Jane.
Other questions or comments, team? Thank you so much
for
coming to spend some time with us. I appreciate it very much, and for your wonderful presentation. Now, for this meeting, the Committee of the Whole is an opportunity for Commissioner comments. Just as a reminder, there is an opportunity for Commissioner comments at our business meeting that starts at 7 as well. Any comments for this meeting, colleagues? Well, that's a good point, Commissioner Hess. I wonder if in the Guinness Book of Records there is anything for the largest kazoo band. That would be something to organize here in town, wouldn't it? Get yourselves in those. And one other thing related to this work with Disability Network, I think there is a location downtown Kalamazoo that may have been, if not the first, one of the first curb cuts ever to be installed, which I think is right off Michigan Avenue, if I'm not wrong about that. Do you know exactly where it is?
It is on the corner of West Michigan and Church Street, right outside the Discover Kalamazoo offices. And in fact, if you go there, you can see the remainder of the railing that was put in to help people navigate that curb cut. I do believe it is the first in the United States of America in 1945 at the thanks to the city commission. There was a lawyer who'd been disabled in World War II, and he came back and he advocated for that. And the people sitting right in your positions were the ones who made that happen.
Right. Seems to me that we should focus on making that a destination spot here in Kalamazoo. I think definitely there was it might have been veteran organizations also that supported the idea of doing that for vets coming back. Yeah.
I completely agree.
So it'd be someplace, a spot to recognize. So.
Like a plaque, historic marker. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And with that, we will see everybody at 7, and we are adjourned.